For God's sake, get that woman out of here. This is a private hospital, not a shelter for beggars." Dr. Patricia's sharp voice echoed through the main entrance, where the rain poured down mercilessly. Outside, in the middle of the storm, a woman in rags was curled up against the wall, holding her newborn baby, trying to shield him from the cold with a small blanket, her eyes full of desperation. People watched from a distance. Some laughed, others looked away. No one did anything until something happened. If you keep bringing this kind of people here, this hospital is going to end up smelling like poverty. Those were Dr. Patricia's words the previous week, when she saw a poorly dressed old man sitting in the waiting area. It was always like that. Whenever she saw someone humble, she wrinkled her nose, raised her chin, and muttered to the receptionist, "This is why private healthcare is turning into trash." Dr. Patricia Ramos was 39 years old and ran, with a firm grip and high heels, the clinical direction department at Golden Hearth Hospital, right across from Park Boulevard, one of the most expensive institutions in the city of San Diego, California. Her posture was impeccable. Her hair bun never had a single strand out of place, and her tone of voice shifted between professional coldness and pure arrogance. She wore tailored lab coats with golden embroidery on the chest and walked the halls as if the hospital were an extension of her home. To her, poor people were an aesthetic nuisance, and compassion a waste of time. At the other end of the hospital, far from the boardroom, far from the decision-making, walked Dr. Miguel Duarte in silence, a reserved man, 45 years old. He walked with his shoulders slightly hunched, as if carrying the weight of many long shifts, and something else no one could quite define. He was a general practitioner, but worked with special dedication on the most difficult social cases. He never made a fuss, never sought recognition. He arrived early, drank the same black coffee in the second-floor break room, and wrote everything down in a worn notebook he kept in his pocket. His colleagues respected him, but also whispered behind his back, "Dr. Miguel is a good doctor, but way too closed off. It's like he lives in his own world." And indeed, he did live in such a world of unspoken memories. He was the kind of man who treated with kindness those no one ever noticed, and who always saw a little more than what the eyes could reveal. But outside the hospital, far from any hot coffee or clean blanket, there was Ana Clara Batista, 28 years old, her skin weathered by the sun and hard days. Ana slept under the awning of a closed shop on Fifth Avenue, a survivor of the system, evicted, abandoned, ignored, but never defeated. In her arms, a baby only a few days old, Samuel, or just Sam, as she had started calling him during the cold nights when she softly hummed lullabies so he wouldn't wake up scared by the thunder. He was all she had, and she would do anything for him, even with nothing. Anna hid from people's eyes. She used to leave early and return only at night, always carrying a bag with makeshift diapers, 2 dish towels, and a small bottle of alcohol to clean her hands before touching the baby. She avoided begging, but sometimes accepted leftover food from a nearby diner. She never had the courage to enter a shelter. She feared they would take little Sam from her arms. Sam was her world. It was just another ordinary day in San Diego. The rain kept falling, and suddenly the hospital's automatic door opened with a mechanical hiss, and there, standing under the narrow overhang, Anna was curled up, soaked to the bone, trying to shield little Sam with her own body as he whimpered from the cold. Her face was red. Her hair clung to her skin. She tried to keep the baby dry with a cloth, and her still exposed chest revealed that the attempt to breastfeed had been interrupted by the storm. A security guard approached, looking impatient. "Ma'am, you can't stay here, all right? You'll scare the patients. I just need a dry place. Please, just until the rain stops." Her voice trembled. Before he could respond, a pair of high heels echoed on the marble floor of the lobby. It was her, Dr. Patricia. With the posture of someone who carries the world, She descended the last 2 steps with her hands clasped behind her back and her eyes fixed on that image, grotesque by her standards. "What is this?" she said with disgust. "Have you lost your mind? This is a private hospital, ma'am. Private. My baby's cold. He just wants to nurse. I'm not asking for anything. Just a dry spot. You're dirtying the entrance. You're soaking everything. This is not a shelter, do you understand? And it's not a public hospital either. You should know where St. Luke's is. 2 blocks down. Go there." Anna lowered her head, clutching the baby to her chest. "I'm scared. They'll take him from me if I go to a shelter. He's only a few days old. Maybe that would be for the best. Because clearly you can't take care of yourself, let alone a baby." The entire reception area was watching. Staff frozen. A patient discreetly held up a phone, recording. The security guard, unsure of what to do, simply stepped back. That was when Dr. Miguel appeared in the side hallway. He was coming from yet another emergency shift, his eyes marked by dark circles, his backpack slung over one shoulder, his lab coat already damp with moisture. He stopped, he looked, and stood still, as if time had frozen. He saw Anna, the baby, the rain, and more than that. He remembered something, a memory from years ago. The same rain, the same cold, the same look, fear of losing the only thread connecting someone to life. "Dr. Patricia, for God's sake," a nurse beside her murmured. "The baby is shivering. And you think I'm going to fill the waiting room with vagrants now?" She snapped back. "You want my pregnant patients to panic at the sight of this right at the entrance? Have you thought about the biological risk?" Dr. Miguel took a step, then another. He still said nothing, but he could no longer remain still. Dr. Patricia turned, noticing his presence. "Oh, perfect. Dr. Miguel, of course it had to be you. Can you please explain to this woman that this is no place for her? You, the savior of the world. She has a baby, Patricia," he replied firmly. And he's trembling. "And so is she. And you're yelling at a mother with a newborn in her arms, in the rain." Anna held little Sam tighter, as if she could shield him from the words too. "Look, if you people want to help, do it away from my main entrance. That door belongs to everyone. You just take care of it, but it's not yours." Silence. Everyone looked at him. A murmur spread among the staff. The security guard lowered his head. The receptionist bit her lip. "Nervous, Doctor." Patricia took a deep breath and narrowed her eyes. "If you let her in, Miguel, you'll sign your suspension today. This is a serious violation of protocol." He didn't reply. He simply took another step, crouched beside Anna, and spoke softly. "Do you trust me? I don't know. I'm a doctor. I just want to take care of your baby, and you, but I need you to let me help." She looked into his eyes. For the first time, there was something different there. Warmth, respect, truth. She nodded. Dr. Miguel took off his lab coat and wrapped Sam in it. Then he gently lifted Anna into his arms. Dr. Patricia, without breaking eye contact, exclaimed, "Do what you think is best. But know this, Miguel, you will face the consequences." As Dr. Miguel pushed through the double doors with his body, carrying the drenched woman and her baby wrapped in a lab coat, all eyes turned to them, first in shock, then in disgust. What's that smell?" whispered a nurse named Brenda, covering her nose. "It's over now. Do shelters have beds here too?" mocked a male nurse from the other side, snickering quietly. Anna, though nearly out of strength, heard every syllable. She lowered her eyes. Her fingers trembled. Even trying to keep the baby hidden beneath the improvised blanket, she felt the stairs cutting into her skin like invisible blades. "Doctor." Miguel gently placed her on one of the observation stretchers. "I want a thermal sheet, warm compresses, and a portable heater, now. And someone get me infant formula in case she needs to stop breastfeeding." Silence was the only answer. No one moved. That's when Dr. Patricia entered the ward, her heels echoing loudly, clipboard in hand, and a gaze sharp as a blade. "I warned you, Dr. Miguel. She's in mild hypothermia. The baby needs immediate warmth. This discussion can wait. The discussion is now." She stepped closer. "You contaminated a clean area, brought in a biological risk, broke protocol, and now you're demanding priority for a homeless woman. She's a mother, a citizen, a human life. She's a problem, Miguel, and you're risking your job for a woman who probably doesn't even have an ID. In the United States, she has the right to emergency care like anyone else. Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act. Check the federal code if you'd like. Title 42, he answered firmly. She clenched her jaw. Wounded pride. "You're digging your own grave in here, doctor. If that's what it takes to keep my dignity, then let me dig." Meanwhile, nearby, 2 teenage patients were discreetly recording the scene with their phones. "Dude, check this out. Like, a baby in a homeless lady's arms inside the hospital. This is gonna blow up on TikTok." A nurse, instead of intervening, just smirked. "At least we've got some entertainment today." Anna heard it, all of it. She tried to get up. "I don't want this. I don't want to stay here. Please, let me go," she whispered, almost begging. Dr. Miguel knelt beside the stretcher, looking straight into her eyes. "You've done nothing wrong. What's wrong is how they're treating you. Just a few more minutes. Sam needs warmth. Then you can decide. Okay?" Anna hesitated, but wounded pride burned hotter than the cold. She tried to get up again, still weak, the blanket slipping from her shoulder. One of her breasts became briefly exposed, prompting more whispers and giggles. "Ma'am, please, cover yourself," a technician snapped, her tone harsh. "Shut up," Miguel said, curtly. The technician froze. He picked up the sheet and gently covered Anna, as if tending to a flower broken by the wind. "No one is going to shame you here, you hear me? But they already are," she whispered, embarrassed, clutching Sam tightly to her chest. Dr. Patricia stepped closer to Miguel. This time, her voice was a whisper. "You really think this is going to make you look noble? This is an elite hospital, not some charity NGO. Maybe that's exactly why it needs to change." She stepped back. For the first time, she didn't reply. In the resting room, the baby was finally wrapped in warm blankets. His temperature began to stabilize. Anna cried softly, as if crying on the inside, but she held Sam in her arms, never letting go of her treasure. No one spoke to her anymore. Only whispers. Dr. Miguel wrote everything down, silently, but inside, something had broken. A thin line between tolerance and outrage. This wasn't just a patient. She was the living memory of everything he had tried to forget. And now, it was time to choose which side he truly stood on. Minutes passed, and the observation room remained cold, both in temperature and in the stares. Anna, now curled up under the sheet, tried to keep Sam at her chest. He had nursed a little, but soon after, he began to cry. First softly, then louder, then desperately. His little face was trembling, his skin had turned red, his eyes filled with tears, and the cry was sharp, strange, the kind of cry only a doctor recognizes as a warning sign. Dr. Miguel looked up instantly. The notebook fell from his hands. He stood up urgently and ran over to Anna. "How long has he been like this?" "Just now. He nursed, but then he got warm. And now he's crying so much, doctor. Is he in pain?" Anna was already crying too, trying to support Sam's tiny head with care. Miguel touched the baby's forehead. It was feverish. His breathing was irregular. Small spots were beginning to appear on his lower torso. "My God," he murmured, "this is serious." He turned toward the hallway and shouted, "I need a digital thermometer, pediatric IV access, and a pulse oximeter. Now!" No one moved. A nurse simply crossed her arms. "Dr. Miguel, with all due respect, she's not even registered in the system, and we don't have authorization." He lost his patience. "Forget the system. This is a pediatric emergency. This child may have neonatal sepsis. Suddenly, Dr. Patricia appeared at the door once again, elegant, cold, and ready to shut it all down for good. "And here we go again," she said cynically. He needs to be taken to a pediatric emergency room now. He's at risk of systemic infection," Miguel pointed. "And if we waste time on bureaucracy, he might not survive. And who's going to pay for that room, Miguel? You? Because I highly doubt this woman has health insurance," Patricia replied, folding her arms. Anna's eyes widened, terrified. "Guy, I don't have anything, but please, my son, he can't breathe well." "I understand," said Patricia, turning to leave. "But unfortunately, this isn't charity. This is private medicine, and private medicine comes with costs. This isn't medicine. This is criminal negligence," said Miguel, his voice firm, his eyes burning. He now stood between Anna and everyone else, his lab coat still damp, hair stuck to his forehead. But his stance was that of a general on a battlefield. Article 1867 of the U.S. Medical Ethics Code. It is the duty of a physician to provide emergency care regardless of the patient's financial status. Anyone who neglects this can be sued and held criminally responsible. Patricia blinked, caught off guard. "Are you threatening me?" "No, I'm simply reminding you that you don't get to decide who deserves to live." Sam's crying grew louder. Ina pleaded with her eyes. Miguel didn't wait another second. "Let's go, prep room 3B, or I'll carry this child there myself." "You don't have that authority." "But I have this boy in my arms, and if none of you move right now, he might not be alive in 2 hours. The nurses then followed his orders and began moving quickly, trying to save little Sam's life. Suddenly, the shrill sound of the monitor pierced the room like a desperate scream. Little Sam, once restless and crying, was now quiet, but not from relief. His reddened face was turning pale fast, his half-closed eyes fluttering and his chest barely rising. The monitor's line was dropping rapidly, from 164 beats per minute to 112, then 87, then 62. Dr. Miguel dropped the clipboard. Time seemed to slow. He crossed the room in 3 long strides, removed the blanket from the baby's body, and firmly placed him on the heated stretcher. "Oogie, someone bring me a pediatric syringe, pulse oximeter, and saline solution. Now!" Nurse Lauren hesitated for a second. "Dr. Miguel, he's neonatal sepsis. If we don't stabilize his breathing now, he'll go into cardiac arrest in under 2 minutes. Now!" Lauren, Anna, on her knees, watched everything in panic, unable to do anything but beg God to save her son. Her body trembled. The tears came without pause. She muttered desperately, as if her voice alone could bring him back. "Baby, my baby, please breathe, please." The baby was now completely limp. Miguel held his breath. He gave one breath mouth to mouth, gentle chest compressions, counted out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4. "Come on, little guy." Silence. The entire room froze until a sound, small, weak, but it was a breath. Sam squirmed slightly, then coughed. The monitor beeped with a sharp, blessed sound. 73 BPM, then 88, then 102. The room erupted into motion. Lauren handed over the pulse oximeter. Another nurse connected the IV. The baby's body was wrapped in heated blankets, and air began to flow stronger into his lungs. Anna couldn't speak. She just cried, soul-deep cries. Miguel, however, was still, sitting on the floor, with his hand covering his eyes. For the first time, he let the world see that he too bled on the inside. Lauren knelt beside him. "He's out of danger, doctor." Miguel took a few seconds. Then he took a deep breath. "Today was the second time I've seen this happen." Lauren looked at him, confused. Miguel stared at the window. Outside, the rain slid down the glass as if the world itself were in mourning. "The first time was with my mother." Lauren said nothing. "I was just a few months old. I don't remember any of it, but the records say it all. She was found lifeless on a sidewalk downtown San Diego, Broadway Street, near Horton Plaza Park. Cause of death, Pneumonia, cold, neglect. He rubbed his face. And the baby she was holding was me. Lauren brought a hand to her mouth, stunned. Miguel continued, his voice tight. I grew up in shelters, got adopted when I was 3, studied, fought, stayed quiet, but I never forgot. Every time I see someone lying on the ground, wet, alone, it's like I see her again. Silence. Only the monitors filled the air. No one should die for being invisible. My mother did. But I won't let Sam be next. Lauren gently took his hand, with respect. In that moment, Dr. Miguel stopped being just a doctor. He became the son of the pain he fought against. And everything, absolutely everything, made sense now. The next hours were a whirlwind of events. The story of that night leaked to the local press. No one knows who recorded it, but within a few hours, the video of Dr. Miguel arguing with Dr. Patricia, demanding emergency care for the baby, was already spreading across social media. The footage of Anna's desperate cries as she held little Sam touched the entire country. The hospital is not a shelter, Patricia's voice echoed in the video, followed by Miguel's firm reply, but it is a place where lives are meant to be saved, all of them. The reaction was immediate. By the next morning, reporters were standing in front of Golden Hearth Hospital on 4th Avenue. Headlines like, Doctor defies hospital leadership to save homeless woman's baby. Heroism or humanity? Meet Dr. Miguel, hospital director under fire after controversial comments about poor patients began appearing across state news outlets. Inna and Sam were moved to a private room with heating, a hot shower, clean clothes, and a social worker by their side. For the first time in months, Anna slept on a pillow. The hospital, pressured by public opinion, released an official statement acknowledging that there were failures in the emergency admission protocol and that an internal investigation would be conducted. Dr. Patricia was temporarily removed from her position. Meanwhile, Miguel was praised across social media, called a hero by some, a saint by others. But he remained the same. No interviews, no vanity, sitting in the doctor's lounge, writing in his little notebook. As always, Lauren approached. You're a celebrity now. He gave a slight smile. I just did what anyone should have done. But deep down, he knew that night had changed everything. And just when everything seemed fine, when Anna was finally starting to feel safe, came the blow. 2 days after the incident, a social worker walked into Anna's room with a folder in hand and a heavy expression. Ana Clara Batista, the Child Protective Services has been notified by the hospital's general administration. Anna froze. What? According to the records, you are homeless, have no fixed income, and no permanent address. The state may consider the child at risk. Anna began to sweat cold. No, you're not taking him from me. I'll do anything. You're not being accused of anything. But a judicial assessment may be initiated. Anna didn't hear the rest. She politely asked the social worker to leave the room and give them some peace. The woman agreed, but said she'd return soon. Once Anna had calmed down, Anna then thought about running. The night felt frozen, despite the warm breeze blowing from Harbour Drive, carrying the scent of sea salt mixed with wet asphalt. It was around 2:13 a.m. when Anna, silent as a ghost, slipped through the second-floor corridor of Golden Hearth Hospital, holding Sam tightly against her chest. Wrapped in a beige blanket, her still damp hair stuck to her face, she clutched her son as if he were part of her own body. Her eyes looked like those of a cornered lioness. She passed through the service exit, descended the emergency stairs quickly, and crossed the back of the hospital. Her bare feet sank into the rainwater still streaming from the gutters. She just wanted to disappear. You're going to be okay, my love. Mommy's here. No one's going to take you away from me. No one, she whispered with a trembling voice, her eyes scanning the surroundings like an animal on the run. As she turned the corner leading to Laurel Street, near the employee parking lot, she stopped for a moment, took a deep breath. The baby stirred in her arms. He had a fever. Again. She pressed her lips together and kept walking, now faster. But before she could reach the side gate, a voice called from behind. "Anna!" She froze. Miguel emerged from the shadows. He wore only a grey coat over hospital scrubs, his hair disheveled and his eyes sharp with concern. "Oh, what are you doing out here?" Anna stepped back 2 paces. The blanket slipped slightly from her shoulder, revealing Sam's sweaty face. "They're going to take him. I heard them, Dr. Miguel. I heard with these ears. Child Services is going to take him from me. They'll take my baby just like they took my sister years ago. I know how this works. I've seen it happen." "Anna, breathe. Please, stay calm." "Don't ask me to stay calm. You don't understand. They just need an excuse, just one. Because I don't have a house, because I don't have money, because I sleep under store awnings and I smell like the street. I know what's going to happen. I know." She held Sam even tighter, as if she could fuse him to her own body. Miguel took 2 slow steps, never breaking eye contact. "I understand more than you think." She was sobbing, gasping for air. The baby began to cry. "Anna, look at me. Please, look at me." She lifted her tear-filled eyes. There was despair in them, but also a thin thread of hope. "You're not going to lose your child. I won't let that happen, but you have to trust me." She shook her head, resisting. "I can't, not again. I can't survive another loss." "I know, but running isn't the answer. You've fought so hard already. Every night you stayed awake to protect him, every step you took with an empty stomach. Every day you cleaned your hands before touching him, even when you had nothing. You're not a threat to him. You're the only reason he's still alive. And now you have me." Anna wavered. Miguel stepped a little closer. "For the first time, let someone fight for you. You made it this far alone. But from now on, you don't have to stay alone." Tears rolled hot down Anna's cheeks. She loosened her grip and let Miguel step closer. He wrapped Sam in his own coat and held them both gently, there, under the lit street lamp on Laurel Street. With the distant sound of sirens and the city fast asleep, 2 broken stories became intertwined. The story of the boy who had survived misery, and the story of the mother trying to save her son from the same fate. Anna rested her head on Miguel's shoulder. "Promise me he won't go through what you went through." Miguel closed his eyes tightly. A single tear slid down his tired, weathered face. "I promise." And the world, once again, began to turn. The morning after her attempted escape, Dr. Miguel not only ensured that Anna and little Sam received ongoing medical care, he began a quiet, relentless mission for justice and dignity. Behind the scenes at the hospital, while the press still tried to invade the hallways and administrators scrambled to release statements, Miguel moved at a different pace. A pace far more urgent and human. Using the network of contacts he'd built over years of quiet service, he began to make calls. An NGO called Strong Roots, specializing in mother-child support, responded immediately. They offered shelter, food, psychological counseling, and legal assistance for Anna. But Miguel wanted more. Through a friend who was a social worker, he had Anna enrolled in the state program Restart, focused on reintegrating vulnerable mothers into society. In less than 48 hours, Anna had all her documents updated, psychiatric care underway, and a family support nurse by her side. At the same time, she received a visit from a volunteer at the educational center San Diego Futures, who promised her a place in basic education and professional training courses, including childcare, nutrition, and household budgeting. Anna could hardly believe it. For the first time in years, she slept through the night without fear. She took hot showers every day, ate 3 full meals, was able to wash her hair calmly, brush her teeth with real toothpaste. She laughed, slept in silence, was called ma'am, not homeless. On the 20th night, in a small, clean room at the NGO shelter, she breastfed Sam while looking out the window. There was a huge moon in the sky. For the first time, she dreamed, "My son, Mommy's going to give you everything she never had. She's going to give you a future. She's going to give you solid ground. And in that moment, it was the best place in the world. But the days of peace were soon interrupted. As promised, a Child Protective Services officer knocked on the shelter's door with a formal summons. The custody hearing to decide the fate of little Sam would take place in 10 days at the San Diego Superior Court. Miguel was notified and immediately began preparing the defense. "Are they going to take Sam away from me, doctor?" Ana asked, her voice breaking. Miguel held her hand. "They'll want to know if you're capable of taking care of him. And now you are, and you're going to prove it." Miguel gathered all the documents, the medical reports, the shelter confirmations, the psychological evaluation, the NGO's recommendations, and the official entries from the reintegration program. But he didn't stop there. He recorded a testimony on video, emotional. She's a mother like any other. She fought with what she had, protected her son with her own body. If that's not proof of love, then nothing ever will be. Ana and Miguel prepared as best they could, with persistence and faith. Days passed, and on the night before the hearing, Ana could barely sleep. The fear returned slowly. What if they take him away from me, doctor? What if they say, I'm not good enough? Miguel sat beside her. He held Sam in his arms. Ana, you gave your life for him. You faced rain, hunger, rejection, and you never stopped taking care of him. Now he's here, alive, healthy, because you never gave up. And if I'm here today, it's because I believe in you. She smiled. Through tears, then came the big day. The courthouse clock read 10:04 a.m. when the double doors of room 12 were opened by an officer in a dark suit. He announced in a firm voice, "Custody hearing for minor Samuel Batista. All rise for Judge Edward Collins." People stood silently. The judge entered with slow steps, a solemn expression, and eyes worn by years of seeing both the best and worst of humanity within those four walls. Ana was breathing heavily at the bench reserved for the parties. Her hands were sweating, despite the cold air conditioning. Sam, sleeping in the stroller beside her, seemed oblivious to the storm of emotions swirling around him. Miguel sat behind her. The lab coat had been replaced by a light grey suit, but his eyes, those eyes that always saw beyond, were more focused than ever. On the other side of the courtroom, to everyone's surprise, sat none other than Dr. Patricia Ramos, legs crossed, wearing an expression far too confident for the occasion. Outraged by her suspension and thirsty for revenge, even after everything that had happened, she hadn't let go of her arrogance and pride. Her hair was tied in a bun as stiff as concrete. The red lipstick she wore felt almost like a provocation. She had been summoned to testify as a representative of the clinical direction at Golden Hearth Hospital. And she had a plan. The testimony of arrogance. Dr. Patricia, were you present when Mrs. Ana Clara Batista arrived at the hospital with the minor Samuel? Asked the state's attorney. Yes, I was, she answered without hesitation. Could you describe the situation? She took a deep breath, adjusted her blazer and spoke, cold as steel. Mrs. Ana arrived visibly agitated, screaming, in a state of emotional distress. The baby was wet, dirty, and without any proper protection. It was a biological risk to the hospital's patients and staff. Ana widened her eyes in shock. That's not true, she whispered. Please continue, Dr. Patricia, the attorney prompted. She displayed clear signs of negligence. In fact, she even attempted to flee the hospital with the child during medical treatment. We had legitimate concerns that she could endanger the baby's life. The courtroom audience began whispering and turning to Ana with judgmental stares. The judge appeared slightly swayed by Patricia's words, and she truly believed she had already won. Ana raised her hand to her mouth as if trying to swallow a scream. Miguel stood up. Your Honor, with your permission, I would like to speak as a direct witness to the events. The judge nodded. Miguel walked to the center of the courtroom. He carried no folder, no papers, just himself and his truth. My name is Miguel Duarte. I've been a general physician for 17 years. I was the one who attended to baby Samuel on the night he arrived at Golden Hearth Hospital. He paused, looked at the judge, then at Anna, then at Patricia. What this woman just said is a lie. A murmur spread across the courtroom. Ms. Anna arrived at the hospital in the middle of a storm. Yes, soaking wet. Scared, but she was holding her child as if her heart were outside her body. She wasn't screaming, she was pleading for shelter, for warmth, for life. Dr. Miguel, watch your tone. Patricia interrupted. No more watching the tone. No more silencing the suffering of those without titles, positions, or embroidered lab coats. The room fell completely still. Sam arrived in critical condition. Ms. Anna had no resources, no home, but she had something many people inside that hospital had forgotten: humanity. She cleaned her hands with alcohol before touching her baby. She breastfed even without eating properly. She protected him from the rain, from contempt, and that night and from the system itself. Miguel stepped closer to the judge. Dr. Patricia. She tried to block care. She yelled at a mother in the middle of the hospital lobby. She called the baby a biological risk. She said the hospital wasn't a shelter for beggars, all of it, in front of dozens of witnesses. Some of them recorded it. A new wave of murmurs filled the room. Juana looked at Miguel as if she couldn't believe someone was finally fighting for her. I saw Anna try to run. I saw the real fear in her eyes. And you know why? Because she no longer trusts the world, because everything has been taken from her before. And even so, she fought. She never let go of her son. She didn't give him up. She didn't abandon him. He pointed to Sam's stroller. That boy is alive because he has a mother. A real mother, one who didn't give up. Who should be celebrated here today, not judged. As soon as he finished, Miguel returned to his seat. The moment of judgment had arrived. Judge Edward Collins remained silent. He stared at the documents on the desk, his gaze steady but unreadable. He showed no emotion, no approval, no disapproval. Anna trembled in her seat. Her hands, shaking, clutched the edge of the bench. Her eyes darted between the judge and Sam's stroller, searching for a clue, a sign, anything. Miguel stood tall, breathing deeply, keeping his posture firm, though his fists were clenched, nearly white from the tension. The judge then crossed his arms, leaned back slowly in his chair, and murmured, "This case is delicate." Absolute silence in the room. On one hand, we have a woman in an extremely vulnerable situation. On the other, we have the argument of the child's safety and stability. The state cannot act on impulse. It needs guarantees, accountability. Anna felt her legs weaken. Ms. Ana Clara Batista has indeed shown love, but love, unfortunately, isn't always enough. She closed her eyes. Miguel looked at her, a tight pain in his chest. It felt like they were losing. The judge sighed, looked over at Sam, still sleeping. Then he turned his gaze to Anna, and something shifted. His voice, once cold, now seemed less distant. But there's something that's not in the files, that words can't express, that papers don't record, and that's what I saw here today. He paused for a long moment. I saw a mother. I saw someone who, even with nothing, was everything, who protected with her body, who pleaded with her heart, who fought with more dignity than many who hold degrees and prestigious last names. Patricia, who had maintained a confident expression until that point, lost her smile. The judge adjusted his glasses, picked up his pen, and declared, "For this reason, and based on the testimonies, documents, and especially the actions witnessed, I hereby grant full legal custody of the minor, Samuel Batista, to his biological mother, Ana Clara Batista, with support and supervision by social services and psychological counseling for a period of 6 months." The room erupted in murmurs. Anna brought her hands to her mouth, then to her eyes, then to her son's stroller. Miguel sat down, exhausted, but with a quiet, victorious smile. The judge then raised his voice again, now with firmness. "Furthermore, This court recommends that the District Attorney's Office initiate an investigation into possible false testimony and unethical conduct by Miss Patricia Ramos. And for the first time, Patricia was the one who felt fear. As they left the courthouse, the sunlight seemed brighter. Anna held Sam as if she had just gotten him back. Maybe she had. Miguel walked beside her in silence. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. He smiled. "Promise me one thing." "What?" "That you'll teach Sam to never ignore someone who's cold on the street." She nodded, crying. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "Today, it wasn't just you who won. It was your mother too. It was mine. It was everyone who's ever been invisible." And with full hearts, they walked away toward a new beginning. Days passed. Since the hearing, Miguel had kept a respectful distance, not out of coldness, but out of care. He remained present whenever needed. He sent messages, scheduled routine checkups for the baby, forwarded donations when he could. But now, he watched Anna blossom by her own merit, and that made him smile in a different way, a smile of relief, of a mission fulfilled. At Golden Hearth Hospital, change began to take root. A new code of conduct was established. A specific department was created to provide compassionate care to vulnerable patients. Internal meetings now included empathy training. There was resistance, of course, but there were also new eyes that had learned, through Anna and Sam's story, that seeing someone with humanity is the first step to saving them. One night, while little Sam slept, wrapped in his blanket, Anna sat on the porch. She looked up at the clear San Diego sky and remembered everything she had lived, everything she had survived. For a moment, she felt the breeze brush against her face. It was the same breeze she once felt on the streets, in the rain, trembling with fear. But now it was different. She was no longer invisible. She was seen, and because of that, she was alive. Beside her, on the ground, rested Miguel's old notebook with a handwritten dedication to Anna, who fought with empty hands and a full heart, who proved that being a mother is more than having a house. It's being a shelter, and who reminded me once again to truly see others. And then, with a soft smile and tear-filled eyes, she whispered to herself, as if speaking to the whole world, "Sometimes, all someone needs is for you not to look away." And there, in that quiet night, the world became just a little more beautiful. The end.